complex. So here we have the first, what you might call the bass tone. There is the first octave, there is the second octave, and there is the fourth octave. Again, the complexity increases as the vibration rises, but the form still has the same fundamental characteristics. And it seems to me that all physical manifestation is based on states of resonance, and these are very critical and they're very precise. As we saw with those sound plates, a particular frequency produces a particular phenomenon. And therefore, if you want to arrive at phenomena, or if you want to recreate phenomena, then we need to arrive at those frequencies which are conducive to its formation. Unfortunately, the way most large numbers are handled, and here we are dealing with large numbers, is done using scientific notation, where a number is written as, let's say, 2.5 times 10 to the power of 26 or something like that, which means that it's the number 2 and then the number 5 and 25 zeros coming after it. And if you were trying to seek a particular level of resonance, you would need to know exactly what the last digit of all those 26 digits after the decimal place were. And this is what gets lost out, which is what we lose with scientific notation. On the other hand, with computers today, there should be no problem in determining a frequency value up to the 20th and 32nd place of decimals in order to find precisely that frequency which would, from which a particular form could evolve. Interestingly enough, also, that if we're looking at resonance, then this is. Wait a minute, I'm going to sit there. These are some figures that I just came to me slowly as I was doing all my research. And it seems that the number 29 or 2.9 or various forms of it seem to have a peculiar coincidence with planetary phenomena. The speed of light is 299.7 kilometers per second. The Earth's natural resonant frequency is 29.97. The mean diameter of the Earth's orbit is 299.1 million kilometers. The Earth's mean orbital velocity is 29.79 kilometers per second. The length of the lunar or synodic month is 29.5 days. Saturn's orbital period is 29.46 years, and so on and so on. So the number 29 seems very strange number and associated with the Earth. We discussed earlier also the geometries, and this actually puts them more under the limelight because this section we're actually dealing with the mathematics. Now, this compares the two geometries, the non-Euclidean and the Euclidean. Nicht-Euklidisch is non-Euclidean, Euklidisch is the Euclidean system. Here we have the circle, the straight line, the point, the radius. And here these shapes are these ovals or these ellipses are taken as sections through a cylinder, taken through a right-angled cone, which means a cone where the shape is actually a right angle and it's circular this way. Any inclined section through a cone will also produce an ellipse. So all these are the elements of our technical world. So the circle, the straight line and point are all part of the same element. In fact, the circle has a certain radius. If I reduce the radius to 0, then the curvature is infinite and I have the condition of the point. If I increase the radius to infinity, then I have a position where the curvature is 0 and I have the straight line. So the straight line, the circle and the point are all aspects of the one element of the circle. But the circle and the straight line and point do not exist anywhere in the physical universe. They are of the mind. They are transcendental. They belong to the realm of measurement between things. They belong to the realm of thought, excuse me, but they do not belong to the physical world because we cannot describe natural artifacts using those particular elements. the ellipse belongs in these systems because the ellipse is in fact an extended circle. It's like taking the center of the circle and dividing it in two and pulling it out, and then you get an ellipse from it. So they are all closed systems. They are all perfect. They cannot be varied because a circle is a line of constant curvature, no thickness. A straight line is a straight line. A straight line means there's no variation. There's no movement about it. It's totally perfect, and it therefore cannot reflect any system in which change is inherent, like in nature change is inherent. There has to be constant change and transformation. And so this is represented by non-Euclidean geometry. And this is the geometry of nature. Using this geometry, then we can draw what is the first development from the formula which I showed you before, which had the hyperbola on it. That was the elevation of this spiral form. The spiral form, where we were looking at it on the hyperbola, was the distance 1 from there to the center. So it's actually very small. Clear. We will have a larger spiral at the moment. But this spiral starts at alpha, or alpha infinity, as Walter Schauberger called it, which is the beginning, and by rotating an almost infinite number of times, or an infinite number of times, seeks always to strive to reach the point, which is omega. So it's moving from the straight line to the point. And this is the curvature of matter, of the descent into matter. And the nature of this particular curve is such that no two parts of it are identical. And so within this also is underwritten not only the discontinuous aspect of evolution, which is the production of individuals, of individual things, but also the continuous movement of evolution into states of higher and higher order. So along this line, this spiral line, every part of it, the curvature is different. You cannot take a part out here and put it in here. It doesn't fit anymore. And so every individuality, all the myriads of atoms, every single thing that exists in this universe can, in a sense, be represented by a small part of the spiral as its characteristic, because there are no two parts of it alike. As you progress towards the center, of course, the velocity increases, the energetic activity increases, and you get closer and closer to God, so to speak, because originally Walter called this the theocentric system, where God lay at the center. And the only way, in fact, to reach him was to jump out of space and time. So the curve, as it were, is space-time continuum. The straight line is out of space and time, and so is the point out of space and time. But there are the two bridgeheads from which life springs into physical existence. Interestingly enough, also, this spiral connects the points of the triangle, the square, the pentagon, the hexagon, the heptagon, the octagon, the nonagon, the decagon, etc., 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 etc. And one of the amazing things about this is you begin to learn how nature can divide things up with equal angles. If I can find the thing. Where is it? No, this is what's getting out of context. Just to show you how this form is also, this hyperbolic spiral appears in nature. This is a meteosat photograph. Here you have the diagram I showed you before, and this is virtually the same energetic wall. This is a low pressure system, and again, it's like the tornado. The energy, the closer you get to the core, the greater the energetic content. Again, the same math can be used to explain galaxies. You can have a galaxy much the same as this, and also as I overlaid that galaxy earlier on in the show. Into this too are all the various this hyperbolic cone again can be used to explain all the different frequencies. From ultraviolet, visible light, infrared, radar, and so on, all as questions of wavelength of distance from the central axis to the outside edge of the hyperbola.